eminent speaker amongst us, Advocate Hari Krishna Holla, to present on this topic. I will request C.A. Vinod Kumar, please escort him towards the dais. Mr. Hari Krishna Holla is an advocate in Karnataka High Court and an intellectual property rights consultant in Bangalore. Mr. Hari Krishna Holla is a founder of Holla Associates, a leading firm in India based in Bangalore, specialized in the IPR rights. Mr. Hari Krishna Holla has over 40 years of experience in handling IPR rights matters. He is also a faculty in National Law School, Bangalore. Please put a round of applause for Mr. Hari Krishna Holla.
Dear friends, as you know well, brand is like a heart and soul of your business. If you don't develop brand, you can't sell your product. See, we go to the shop every day and buy products. We don't see who is the manufacturer and all, but only we go by the trademark which is there on the product. So that is the importance of the brand. In fact, if a person becomes very famous, we call him and say, oh, he's a trademark fellow. So that's how they pass this thing. I'll just go through the small slide presentation about how branding can be developed and all that. Yeah, next we go. See, core values of the brand. What are the core values? Number one is design. It should be unique, novelty, easy to carry, and eyes of the Then value. Purity is the mantra. Your product should be the best, and it should be the pure. It should be purity. That is very most important. Then strategy. Study market and tactfully deal. Then logo. Ensure that it is original. If you copy somebody's logo, then you will get into trouble. So don't copy the logo. Then marketing most critical. Advertising, balance between your product and advertising. In fact, there is a small story about the marketing.
Sir, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸ್ಲೋ ಮಾಡಿ.
ಹೌದಾ?
ಓವರ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಆಯ್ತು.
ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಗೋಯ್ತಲ್ಲ.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಗಡಿಬಿಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಇಲ್ಲ ತಾನೆ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದ
ಓಕೆ.
ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಯ್ತು.
There is a story about a product, an English leather, which actually developed a product for the razors and also the shaving solution. That advertised heavily and then marketed and then they spent huge amount on the advertisement and all that. Then ultimately, when the customers wanted the product was not available in the market because they did not develop the product by spending that money. Only they spend money on the advertisement as a result of which the product lost the market. So therefore, don't do it. First, ensure that you have necessary facilities for manufacturing. At the same time, you go for a marketing. So it should be balancing. Identity can be created by value of your product. As you know well, you buy some particular product every time. Why you buy the product? Because you trust the product. So therefore, identity goes with your product and your quality of the production and of the product. Then trust is the buzzword. Next. Now, we have heard about the advertisements given by the multinational companies where they get into problem and all. So that is in law called the disparagement of the product. So therefore, this is a competitive world. There is a tough competition and therefore you have to survive and you have to give advertisement, and at that time we always compare our product with other person and then try to catch their product, try to catch the market. So while catching that market, we issue advertisement. While issuing advertisement, we should be very careful. It does not amount to disparagement in advertisement. What is disparagement in advertisement? Advertisement means that a trader has the right to call his product as the best in the world, even though the declaration is false. So even if you say that your product is best, but you should, even if it is false, it's okay. But comparing that, he can also claim that his goods are better than his competitors, even if such argument is false. So that second one is also allowed in law. Then third one, to say that his goods are best in the world or his goods are better than his competitors, he can even compare his goods advantage over the goods of the others. So that also is allowed. But last one, you cannot disrespect or say a false thing about the other person. However, he cannot now claim that his goods are better than those of competitors, say that the goods of his competitors are poor or bad. So that he cannot say. If he says that, that amounts to defamation and their action can be taken legally against you for compensation and all that. He cannot, however, conclude that his competitors' goods are bad, although he says that his goods are better than his competitors. So therefore, you should be very careful while giving advertisement. It does not amount to disparagement in advertisement. I'll just give some few illustrations next. See, in this happened, there was a tough competition between Coca-Cola and Pepsi. So the Coca-Cola, the thumbs up, they called Pepsi as a puppy. So that was a derogatory word, and therefore court said that you cannot use that word, and ultimately Pepsi has to remove, Coca-Cola has to remove that advertisement. Next. Here, during the pandemic time, everybody was aware about the cleanliness and all that. So there was a tough competition between the Lifebuoy and Dettol. Dettol always was telling that the Lifebuoy is not good and all that. So therefore, ultimately, court injected Dettol from comparing their product with the Lifebuoy, and ultimately, court said that both products are good and consumers can use it. Next. CONCLAVE and Horlicks. This is also a disparagement of advertisement, where it happened, the 2 glasses of CONCLAVE is equivalent to 1 glass of 2 glasses of Horlicks is equivalent to 1 glass of CONCLAVE. So that was the message was given by advertisement. Court stopped that people the issuing from the advertisement. Next. And also you should ensure that you should give a correct image to the correct message to the public while giving advertisement. For example, in this, what happened was Fair and Lovely, where they were saying that if you use the hour cream, the darker person will become a fairer person. So ultimately they have to change the trademark, and then they have to go for it. They have to make it as a glow and fair. So fair has been removed and glow and this thing. So therefore you should be very careful while giving advertisement. You should not indulge in such things where comparison and all that which hurts the feeling of a human beings. Next. So now, why these brands have become very popular all over the world? Of course, I don't have to tell you all that. And as you know well, these are the topmost brands of the world. Of course, unfortunately, we don't find even a single one Indian in the topmost brands. That I know what is the reason. Next. So what are the brand values? Brand values is the foundation for the growth of any company. So therefore, I told you that brand value is the most important thing. Without developing your brand, you cannot survive in this market. Particularly, it is a very competitive market and a very stiff competition in all products, and therefore, you have to protect your brand value, and unless and until you protect your brand value, you cannot survive in the market. Then they must be, please go to the next. They must be honest, implemented throughout every part of the brand strategy, from any communication with employees, consumers to strategic decision making. Maintaining pure value of brand is the primary responsibility of the company. So therefore, in any brand, maintaining a brand value is the most important thing. So kindly note down that. Next. As you know well, Kingfisher, Vijay Mallya came out with a very big this thing and spent huge amount of advertisement, everything, and lavish spending and all that. Ultimately, he could not survive because he was lavish spending the amount, not for improving the conditions of the this thing and all, but ultimately he lost things for so many reasons. I don't think that I have to tell you everything. Of course, it already gone through the court, and now ultimately he has to face the imprisonment, and is avoiding imprisonment and now hiding in London. So therefore, Kingfisher, even though, and he first of all what he did was, he ventured into a business where he is not aware of anything. He ultimately invested huge amount on that, even though he had a cash-rich family of the liquor business. Then he bought Deccan Airways for a huge sum. So ultimately he failed, and ultimately he could not repay the loans, and therefore the bank ultimately took all his assets and all that and filed a criminal case, and he has to run away from this thing. So therefore, it's most important that we should think of business where we can venture. If you don't know that business, kindly don't venture at all. Next. On the contrary, you see the Patanjali, a Baba, has started a business. Today it is more than the value, the turnover is more than that of the Unilever, a world international company. So this is a Baba company is more than this because it's a simple advertisement and a simple product and touching the hearts of the people with his simplest products, and that is the reason. So he is now grown up like this, and he could ultimately meet Unilever and other multinational company in the consumer products. Next. You must be knowing about the Ganesh Pidi. Ganesh Pidi is about 50 years back it was there. It was a company started in Mysore, Bangalore Ganesh Pidi. That Bidi is actually what happened that it was owned by two brothers. Then ultimately there was a division in the brothers. So they wanted to, the business, the dispute went up to the High Court. Then High Court ultimately has to do a partition. As usual, in the family, two brothers keep fighting for the assets and all that. Ultimately, it has to be divided by a partition suit. Now, they wanted to assess. They appointed a chartered accountant to value the products of what is the cost of the assets of the company. So the partnership was owning the lorry, business, building material, everything was stock in trade, everything was valued only at 2 crores. But ultimately, how can they value the brand name? Because the products were sold only because of the brand name. When they asked for the brand name, the chartered accountants could not give an answer. And ultimately, court said that we can't cut the Ganesha into half and give to 2 people. So, what the court said that, okay, we will auction this brand name, and whosoever bids highest, they will take the brand. So, ultimately, their entire land building value and fixed assets was only 2 crores, whereas the brand value went for 25 crores. So, one person took the 25 crores and the other person has to give up that car. So, this is the beauty of the brand value. Next. These are the topmost Indian brands. You can see the TCS, HDFC Bank, Infosys, Airtel, Asian Paints, SBI, LIC. Most of them are all service sector. Not a single this thing is in manufacturing sector. Of course, Tata's is there, but others are not there. Huh?
Asian Paints is manufacturing.
Okay, yeah, right. Next. So, what are the assets in a brand value we look is? This is trademark we see. That's the most important. Then brand name, visual asset, logos and colors, marketing strategies, digital assets, licenses, and level of customer quality. So these are the important assets value we look into the brand. So unless until you protect these things, your brand will suffer. Next. Brand values has a touch of human element. So when you design a brand, you have to see that it is accepted by the human, that is the consumers. So that's the most important thing. Consumers, employees, partners all look for the brand value and before they wish to associate with. So everybody wants to see. We go to the shop and insist on a brand name only because we are confident with that brand. We have faith in that brand. So therefore, the brand, developing brand, protecting your brand is most important thing. Brand values serve as a guide to day-to-day business, day-to-day action and long-term decision making. Next. Now we deal with what are the laws which deal with the brand. You develop a brand. Now you want to know which are the acts which are applicable and how it can be protected and all that. So these are the major acts which in India protects a brand. Number 1 is the Trademark Act 1999, then Copyright Act 1957, Designs Act 2000, Patents Act 2005, and Joint Indications 1999. So these are the major acts which protect your brand. So let me go through by one. Next. So what is trademark? Ultimately, we all, as a layman, we understand trademark is a picture or a logo or something like that. But it is much more than that. In the act, it is defined in the 2 parts. One is a trademark, another is a mark. So the mark, if you go through the mark, it includes everything. For example, a mark includes a device, brand heading, label, ticket, name, signature, word, letter, numerical, shape of goods, packaging, combination of colors, anything. So therefore, what we understand by a trademark only by picture or a logo, it is much more than that. Everything is a trademark, and definition of trademark encompasses everything. While looking at the definition of a trademark, it is capable of being represented graphically. So a trademark can be, unless and until it is represented graphically, there is no trademark in vacuum. It should be graphically represented, an artistic line or a picture or something like that. Even if you write the words also can be the same. So that is one thing. Then number two is that which is capable of distinguishing the goods from service of one person to other. So there cannot be two identical trademarks. It should be always different. You cannot copy, you cannot make the cosmetic changes and adopt other person's trademark. So therefore, you should ensure that your logo is unique, your trademark is unique, and don't copy from others. If you don't copy the trademark of others, then you will get into problem. Then of course, it includes the packaging colors and all that. Next. So what are the legal requirements for applying for a trademark? For example, you want to adopt a trademark. Before starting a business, first you have to identify the name. If you identify a name, for example, you want to start some business in a particular product, then you want to look for a name. Then you look for a name which is not there, which is unique, which is not there in the public domain, or if it is already registered trademark. So therefore ensure that you adopt a trademark which is not there on the public domain, which is unique, and it is it is an inventive word. Unless and until you adopt an inventive word, you will not get protection under law, and also if you adopt a other person's name, you will get into problem. Select a word, it should be capable of being represented graphically. You should distinguish the goods and services of one undertaking from others. So that's most important. Then it should be used, proposed to be used in relation to the goods and services or for purpose of indicating, so as to indicate the connection the course, the business of the trade. Persons who are to use the trademark without a identifier. In fact, when you look at a logo, for example, look at the logo of the SBI. Do we know that who is the owner of the SBI? Name is not mentioned. Karnataka Bank. Name is not mentioned. Tata's. Tata's, of course, the surname it is now derived as a trademark. So like that, when you look at a logo or a trademark, the persons who is manufacturing and will not be known at all. So we just look at the picture, logo, and then buy that. Next. You can see the trademark also keep changing. I just given one slide where the Pepsi Cola, which was there in the 1898, it was looking like that. Now today you can see what is the logo of this. So as the fashion keeps changing, the trademarks also keep changing. And in fact, many of the banks and other institutions have also changed the name. Canara Bank, which has a flower in a oval shape, which is about used for more than 70 years. Now they have got a different logo. So like that, trademarks also keep changes. Next. Now Amazon. How many of you know Amazon? What exactly is Amazon? Can anybody tell? Huh? Everybody knows that it is an e-commerce company, isn't it? But Amazon is the largest river bed in South America. So that original meaning of Amazon is lost because the Amazon has become an e-commerce and we associate with e-commerce and it has become a part of our life. So that is called that is the beauty of a trademark. So Amazon, which is a part of a river belt delta in South America, has been adopted as a e-commerce name and it has become derived a secondary meaning and therefore it has become distinctive with the Amazon company. So therefore Amazon is a company which is now very famous in the e-commerce. Nobody can use that name. For example, if you say that I can use Amazon because the reverse name, you will not be allowed. In fact, I will tell you one small incident. Nilgiris is a hillock in near Ooty. What happened that somebody adopted the Nilgiris the Nilgiris company adopted the Nilgiris brand for selling milk and milk products. They started their firm in 1905 in Bangalore. So it became famous and then they diversified into the hotels and then consumer products, etc., etc. Other person also started Nilgiris and started using the trademark. Even though he did not adopt the same logo, but he used a different logo. Then ultimately, the Nilgiris company took up the matter in the court. Then it was decided in the High Court. High Court said, other person you cannot use this name because it has become a secondary name. Even though it is adopted the name of a hillock in near Ooty. It has now people identify the goods and everything with the Nilgiris and therefore you cannot do that one. Same thing happened for the Bajaj, Tatas and Adidas. As you know, there was a chain of restaurants, Adidas in Bangalore. So other person, Adiga is actually surname of a person from South Kerala who started a hotels and chain restaurant. Sir, kindly. Sir, it is disturbing, sir. It's disturbing. So Adigas was a chain restaurant and a person by name Adiga, he started the restaurant. So when he started restaurant with Adiga, other person with the same surname also started. Then we argued the case stating that even though the Adiga is a surname, it has been used for a long time and it has become distinctive with him. It has acquired a secondary name like Bajaj, Tata and all that, and therefore you cannot use that name. So ultimately High Court said that you cannot use that name even though your surname is Adiga. So likewise, once you adopt a personal name as a trademark and you use it for a long time, it becomes distinctive with you and nobody else can use the trade name, trademark. Can't come. Like what happened in the case of Mallige. As you may be very well that Mallige was a very famous Gupta company which was run into, which was in the market, and it was growth as it grown was more than 1,000 crores company one time. Then Mallige was the name of the trademark. Then they obtained registration of a trademark. Then what happened that there was another person called Mallige. So in trademark law, if you use a deceptively similar name, even with a one spelling mistake, it amounts to infringement of trademark. Because in the trademark what we see is the phonetic similarity, visual similarity and structural similarity. This should be there. So it was a phonetic similarity, Mallige and Mallige. So Mallige was a company which was using for the same tobacco product that was in Indore. So this Mallige, because of their publicity and other things and all, they felt that use of Mallige amounts to they grabbing their business, and they filed a suit for infringement. Ultimately, the matter went to Supreme Court. Supreme Court ultimately said, with the records, going by the record, who adopted the trademark first. Then it was found in the record that the Mallige was adopted first 10 years prior to that of Mallige. So ultimately, Mallige has lost the name and he has to change the name as the R&D or something he has used. So therefore, what is important is the prior user. A lot of people think, supposing if I get a trademark registered, I become the owner and all. That is not so. The user is most important. So the prior user is most important in any case. So unless and until you are a prior user, you cannot protect your trademark. That means to say, supposing if somebody is already using a name, and if other person doesn't, even though that person doesn't apply for registration, if other person adopts the trademark and gets it registered, then he cannot become the owner and ultimately he will lose in the case. So that is the thing. And we also can see three important definitions. Number one is a trademark. What refers to a trademark is only with reference to the manufactured goods. So trademark applies only to manufactured goods. Supposing you carry on the service marks like Life Insurance Corporation or bank or Amazon, all those are all service marks. So they are called the service marks. Then apart from that, it is also called well-known trademarks like McDonald, then Amul. They are all well-known trademarks. What is well-known trademark? Actually, in the trademark, there are about 45 classifications of goods are there. So with reference to the goods and services you are entering, you have to apply accordingly. For example, you are manufacturing a pen, you have to apply in the class 16. You are manufacturing the food products, you have to apply in the class 29 and 30. So likewise, classification is made. So with reference to the classification of goods, you have to apply for registration. Supposing you have got a trademark which has got a bindu in a pen, you can't stop the other person from using the bindu for a shirts and other things and all. So it doesn't amount to infringement of trademark because your registration is only restricted to the classification of goods you are manufacturing. But in case of a well-known trademark, it is totally different. For example, you have a McDonald. You cannot use the McDonald for any other things. In fact, an incident happened in Bangalore. What happened was the McDonald wanted to enter, they are not come to Indian market at that time. So about 25 years back it happened in Bangalore. So they wanted to come to Indian market and wanted to sell their products, that is McDonald. Then there was a person called PC Mallappa and company was manufacturing sanitary goods and all that. He adopted PC Mallappa. So that arch logo of the McDonald he copied and then got it registered in the Copyright Act. When the McDonald wanted to come to India, he filed a suit for injunction and injunction was granted, restraining them from using the trademark McDonald for food products in India, in Bangalore. Then ultimately the matter was taken to Supreme High Court. Then the High Court asked one simple question to PC Mallappa and company. Mr. Mallappa, you are using the logo, arch logo, which you claim it is your original mark. Where did you get the idea of using the trademark? He didn't have any answer because he has to say that I copied from them. So ultimately, if somebody adopts a trademark with a fraudulent idea, fraudulent intention, they will not survive. They have to surrender. So the beauty of the well-known trademark is that it cannot be used for any other products. So McDonald's cannot be used for any other products. Amul cannot be used for any other products. So there are some list of about 20-25 products that in India has been declared as a well-known trademark. So those trademarks cannot be used by any other person for the thing. So the trademark is different, service marks is different, and well-known mark is also different. So these three are very important aspects in the trademark. Now you see the definition of double tone. This is a famous Swiss company which is manufacturing the chocolates. Why it is called double tone is that it has come from a place called Bern in Switzerland, which is famous for bears and also the mountains. So therefore it is trademark. So while adopting a trademark, the manufacturer wants to give the real meaning. So therefore this trademark is used. Next. This is a Mexican dish which is actually consumed, it is served in the restaurant. It's called tasty toast. So that means to say that it's actually a family dish where the family can go and take this dish. So to identify that it's a family dish, what they have done is, you can see TAT. T is a father, other T is a mother, and then the I is a child. So this is a dish which is dipped in salsa and eaten. So therefore, in order to give the real meaning to that, they have adopted this logo. Next. Formula 1 everybody knows, it is all fast. So therefore between F1 this thing, the 1 is there, you can see the identifier, 1 is just marked in between the two pictures. So that's called the Formula 1. Yeah. Next. Now trademarks, as I said, it encompasses so many things and all. You can see the alphabets, then picture, logo, all these things are all trademark. You can't say that it is only a logo, it all encompasses trademark, everything encompasses in a trademark. Next. So these are the service marks which you are referring to. Next. So these are the well-known trademarks. So it is well-known trademarks cannot be used by any other person for other products also. Otherwise, normally in the trademark law, only restricted the classification of goods which is registered. Next. In fact, there was a case about the 7 o'clock. What happened was, 7 o'clock, as you know, where it is a razor blade company which manufactures, Gillette company is manufacturing that, and its trademark is very famous, more than 140 countries. Other person adopted the 7 o'clock toothpaste. So Bombay High Court, the matter was taken to Bombay High Court. Then the other person, defendant, argued that the 7 o'clock after all I am manufacturing toothpaste, whereas the Gillette company is manufacturing only the razor blades. Court said you cannot do that because it will amount to encashing upon the goodwill and reputation built by 7 o'clock. So people identify 7 o'clock only with the razor. Supposing if the person who is picking up a razor, if he comes to know that even they are manufacturing toothpaste, and so obviously that person will pick up that product also. So therefore it will be amounts to encashing upon goodwill and reputation. Moreover, both goods are sold in the same outlet, like kirana shop or department store and all that. So ultimately court said you cannot do that, and they were stopped from doing that one. Next. Likewise for a Bata also there was an incident in Calcutta High Court. What happened was that the Bata, as you know well, it is only known for footwear and other things and all that. One person from Tirupur started manufacturing lungis under the brand name Bata. So adopted the identical logo, and then people thought it has emanated from the Bata company and started buying and all. So ultimately Calcutta High Court stopped him from misusing that logo, as it amounts to infringement of trademark, of a well-known trademark. Next. You can see in trademark, you can see A to Z. A lot of trademarks must be knowing. If you know D, it is a Disneyland. Then likewise, K for Kellogg's. So like it is all Z for ZTV, T for the T series. So likewise, all alphabets are used in the trademark. Next. Next. Even the signature also constitutes a trademark. There is a very famous, I don't know how many of you know about the Nanjangud tooth powder, which has come from a Nanjangud near Mysore. So there the tooth powder was started by B.B. Pandit about 100 years back. I am told that the people is to buy this product only by identifying the signature. B.B. Pandit is written in the center of the product. Next. Next. So while choosing a trademark, you should be very careful. As I told you, if you adopt a generic trademark, you will not get any production. So therefore, always it is necessary for you to use the last two things, arbitrary and fanciful. So unless and until it is arbitrary and fanciful, you won't get production under law. If you use generic name, descriptive name or suggestive name, not much of a production will be there. Production under the law. Next. See, these are some of the generic names where you can't get. For example, Band-Aid or Apple Store or Kids, they cannot be used as it will not get registered as a trademark. So therefore, avoid generic name. Next. These are also descriptive names. Descriptive names, sometimes it may give the indirect meaning, but still it may become this thing only of use it for a certain number of years. But again, it is not advisable to go for a suggestive names also. Next. You see, for example, take the case of Xerox. As you know, well, the Xerox, every other Photoshop is called as a Xerox shop. But ultimately, it was owned by a company which was it was their registered trademark. Because they could not stop the infringement and large number of people started using Xerox, they lost the title in that. Likewise for the ping pong or aspirin and all that. It was once upon a time a registered trademark, but ultimately it is called a publicity juris in law, where they lost the title because they could not protect the trademark. Next.
Distillery, sir. Distillery also.
Dictionary. Distillery is still a trademark, but a lot of people are misusing it, but action should be taken.
Udupi Hotel.
Udupi is a generation. Yeah, next.
Udupi Hotel alla
So
misuse
these are the best way of adopting. For example, penguin is a name of an animal which is being used for the books. So therefore it can be seen. Cycle brand. It is for agarbattis. So it is arbitrarily applied. So therefore this is the best way of protecting. Like in an apple. Apple is the name of a fruit. Now apple has been adopted now for smartphones and mobile smartphone and laptops and other things and all. So now supposing Apple, even though it is a generic name, it is arbitrarily applied to the electronic good and therefore it becomes distinctive in them. For example, you want to start a fruit shop under the brand name Apple, then ultimately you will not get registration because it becomes generic. So arbitrarily it can be applied. Likewise, orange. Orange shirts are there, orange tools are there, but you can't have an orange fruit shop. So that is the law. Next. These are all the inventive words and fanciful words. For example, Infosys. How many of you know what is Infosys? Information systems. But they have shortened the word and then they have been used, and therefore it's the best way of adopting trademark. Likewise, Rebook or Kodak or Microsoft and all that. Next. Next. So what is the function of a trademark? When you look at the function of a trademark, it identifies the goods and services of its origin. So you very well know when you go to a shop and buy a product, which company it has emanated from. When you buy the Lifebuoy soap piece, so it has come from Unilever. Likewise, so therefore, it identifies the goods and services of its origin. Number two, it guarantees the unchanged quality. Why insist on that product? You know the quality of that product, and therefore time and again you go and buy only that product and you will not go for other products. Then it advertises the goods and services. So if you have a trademark, it automatically gives advertisements and also the services. Then it creates an image for the goods and services. So it automatically creates. In fact, many of us, that in the shops only they go by the brand names and register trademark, not by the other things and all that. We only look at the brand name and then buy. So that is the beauty of trademark. So unless you have a registered trademark or a trademark, your product cannot be sold. Next. Next. There is an act called National Influence Prevention and Improper Use Act 1950. So if supposing there are about 10 names are there, which you adopt as a trademark, it cannot be protected. So that is prohibited under the act. So therefore, avoid the trademarks like picture of Mallige or Olympic symbol of Parliament and all that. If you adopt the same as a trademark, you will not get registered, and it will not get registered, and no protection can be given under law. Next. Apart from trademark, then service marks, and also other one is well-known trademark. There is also called a certification mark. What is certification mark? It is given to an organization which certifies the quality of the product. For example, AgMark. AgMark is not a trademark. It is given to a Government of India organization which has got facility of testing a food products. Likewise, wool mark, then silk mark. So these are the organizations which have got a facility of testing and certify the quality of the product. So these marks are given to that organization. That organizations can give to others provided it meet the quality what they prescribe under law. So therefore, certification marks are given to one organization. Unlike trademark, which can be owned by all the persons, certification mark can be owned only by one person, that invariably a government organization which has got facility of testing the product. Next. So the professional organizations like Chartered Accountants Association and all that, this is given to that organization where the members can use that trademark. We cannot, other persons cannot use the trademark. So this is called the collective mark. So which is given to an organization which has got the facility of which enrolls a particular members of the particular profession like doctors, chartered accountants, others and all that. So the organization only can get that mark, and organization members can use that mark. So that is also defined in the Trademark Act. So the process of registration, I will let you know about it. There is a website called the IPR India website where you can go and make a search engine. There is a search engine which provides for the search of all the trademarks registered in India. So before adopting a trademark, you have to first choose the name. Which is the name you want to adopt. So for that, you have to first go through the Google search and other market search and all that. Thereafter, if you are convinced, then you can go to the IPR India where there is a search engine is there. Then you have to click that. Then you have to click your name. Then what is the goods you are going to manufacture, or what the service you are providing, what service you are going to provide, that has to be clicked. So once you click that, then you will get a lot of names which are now registered, unregistered and all. If your mark is not registered, then you can go ahead with registration. Suppose if that mark is already registered, then avoid that, because you will definitely face infringement action and all that. Number one. Number two is, then once you get the trademark clear by the trademark registry, then you can make an application. Now there is a facility of online application, so therefore you can make an online application with a payment of necessary fees and all that. In that application, what you have to state is, who is the proprietor of this trademark, whether it's a company, partnership or an individual, names have to be mentioned. Then what is the name of the trademark, then you have to mention the name. Then what are the goods under which you are going to manufacture or services you are going to provide, that you have to give on a detailed list. For example, you are making a food products, means in food products itself there are about 4 classifications are there. If you go to the Trademark India website, you will get all these things. So once you mention that food product, this how long you have been using, that's the most important. Supposing if you have been using from past 10 years and you have not applied for registration, you will know you can apply and protect that. So you have to mention the date on which you have started manufacturing that. Then you have to provide them evidence that you have been using the trademark. What are the evidence you can give? For example, if you are a registered company, you can give the company incorporation certificate, or a partnership deed can be given. Then the first invoice you can give. Then if you have issued advertisement in the newspapers and electronic media and all, those evidence can be given. So once you give all this information to the trademark registry and pay necessary fine, the fees with regard to the individual is about 4,000 rupees. If it is a company or a partnership, it is a 9,000 rupees. That is the fees. Of course, for startups there is a 50% reduction is there, so that can be avoided also. Then once you pay that fee, then it is online, it is then immediately you will get next minute a number is generated wherein you can use that number. So your application is now registered with which is filed with the trademark registry. They generate a number and give you. Then within 1 month they will examine your trademark whether this can be registered or not. For example, while examining your trademark, if it comes to know that it is very close to other trademark or something like that, they will say your trademark cannot be registered because it is very deceptively similar to other trademark. Or whatever the reason they will give, and then ultimately examination report will be given. You have to reply that examination report within a stipulated time. If you don't reply that examination report, then it will be abandoned. Then thereafter, once your trademark is accepted, Then they will publish in a trademark journal, which is published electronically every week. Every week about 4,000 to 5,000 marks are published in India. So in that, why they give opportunity public is to ensure that they don't, if somebody is using a trademark and if he has not seen this trademark and all, he can oppose the registration. He can say this trademark is identical to me and therefore it should not be registered and all that, he can file a opposition. So if supposing any opposition is filed by any person, then your trademark will not get registered. So supposing if there is no opposition, then they will proceed to issue, after expiry of 3 months, they will proceed to issue the certificate of registration. Once the registration certificate is given, it is valid for a period of 10 years. Every 10 years you have to keep renewing it. And once your trademark is registered, you can put the R in right hand side of the mark. But don't put R without obtaining registration, because it's an offence where the trademark register can we can file criminal case against you. So if it is pending registration, normally people put TM. So in case of a opposed mark, it will be contested. The Registrar of Trademarks will hear both the parties and he will see what is the nature of opposition and all that. And ultimately, if he is convinced that opposition is a frivolous, then he will dismiss and grant the certification. If it is found that opposition is sustainable, then he will say that your trademark cannot be registered. Ultimately, you can take up the matter in the High Court for adjudication and all that. So this is the process of registration of a trademark. Next. See, I have given this example of Starbucks. You can see on the picture, this is actually a recent case in Delhi High Court, where the person used a deceptively similar name for a coffee, that is Sardar Baksh coffee. So he used the identical color scheme, get up and design of that person, Starbucks. So for a layman, when you look at that, you will not be able to make out the differences and all. So ultimately court said that it's a clear case of infringement. Even though the pictures are totally different, the total idea has been copied and used for the same coffee, so the court prevented that person from using the trademark. Here also in the second one also, even though the picture of the lady is different, but this is a almost identical name is used, and therefore it amounts to infringement of trademark. In fact, there was a very interesting case of our own Mallige. The Mallige has got a particular color scheme and get up with a green, with a yellow with a picture of a child and all. So the yellow line is very prominent. Even now from past 60 to 70 years they are using the same yellow background. One person from Bangalore started manufacturing the biscuits under the same thing. They did not use Parle. They used some other name, but adopted the identical color scheme and all that. So what court said that if a layman looks at it, normally we don't, while buying the product we don't see, because after all biscuit is about 5 rupees. We send our child to buy the product. So child will see it is if it is a yellow background and all, it thinks that it is a Mallige, eliminated from Mallige, and then ends up buying that. So therefore what the court said was, a average man with imperfect recollection. So that is the test to be applied. For example, if you go and buy a 555 soap, tomorrow if S soap is given, you think it has come from the 555 only. So you will not be able to make out. So therefore, this is the test applied for infringement of trademark. Next. Here also the Glucon-D, they have been manufacturing the Glucon-D for a long time. And Dabur adopted the identical color scheme and get up and all that. Then court said that the Dabur said, whereas they are using only the family with a husband, wife and a child, we are using our daughter also there and all. Court said nothing doing, because your idea is to encash upon the goodwill and reputation of those people. And it was the same color scheme and get up. So ultimately Dabur has to change the trademark and then sell their product. Next. You can see some of the instances of infringement. Next. Next. These are the cases of infringement of trademark decided in the courts of law. Next. Next. Now there is one more act called called, I told you about the trademark, now we are covered. There is a Geographical Indication Act. Of course, it doesn't apply to MSME and all that, but only, this is actually act called Geographical Indications of Goods and Registration of Production Act 1999. This act came into force only in the 1999. Next. What is geographical indication of this? So next you take. Under the Trademarks Act, geographical name except under certain circumstances is considered not distinctive. For example, if a geographical name is applied for registration, it will not get registration unless and until it becomes distinctive or used for a long time. You cast any geographical name. But under the Geographical Production Act, if the food has emanated from a particular place, then that cannot be used in other place, and also they cannot sell the product. I'll give you a small example of Dharwad Peda. Dharwad Peda is famous in and around Dharwad Peda because it's manufactured. Why Dharwad Peda becomes so famous? Because of course there's a history that the family from North India came, Thakur and Vishal. They came to Dharwad and they settled down because there was a famine in Bihar. So they came down and settled down. So they wanted to eke out a livelihood. Then they started making pedas. Pedas they used by the ingredients available locally. What was that? The thick milk. That Dharwad peda is with the buffalo milk it is prepared. Then the sugar it was grown in the black soil. And then other ingredients and all that. So it became so famous. Then ultimately, in fact, I am told that the Nehru who has come for a 1932 Belgaum Congress, so he also tasted the Dharwad Peda, and Mahatma Gandhi has tasted the Dharwad Peda, and therefore it has become famous. Now, if you go to the Bangalore bakery, any bakery, they sell Dharwad Peda, but actually it is not a Dharwad Peda. Because the ingredients are totally different, it is not emanated from that particular place, and therefore it is amounts to infringement of trademark. So infringement of GA. So this was actually not protected earlier to when the act came into prior to that 1999. Now, by virtue of the present act, if the GA take a registration has been granted, then that cannot be used by any other person, sell in a different place and all that. Only in and around Dharwad it can be done. So it cannot be sold in Belgaum or Bangalore and that. Likewise, we have got a Belgaum Kunda is there. So Kunda can also be, it has got a history and of course, it is not as protected as this thing. So we have several products. For a best example is the Mysore silk saree. Mysore silk saree is owned by the Karnataka Silk Industries Corporation. It has actually identified a geographical area in and around Mysore, where the mulberry is grown and weaved in a particular style, design and all that. Therefore it is there. So we have so many silk sarees. For example, you take the case of Mysore silk saree or Kanchipuram silk saree or Banaras silk saree. So all three are different varieties and it is only famous because of the local area and local artisans who weave that thing and all. In fact, there is a very interesting incident about the Banaras silk. So the Chinese silk is very cheapest in the market. So what they did was some Chinese people came to Banaras and recruited some artisans from the Banaras. So they took them to China and then got weaved the same design and all that. And then they dumped in the Surat market for 150 rupees, 200 rupees. Whereas this Banaras silk saree costs about 5,000 minimum. These people used to sell the Banaras silk with a 500 rupees or 300 rupees with the Chinese silk and all. So these are the kind of things which are happening. So people are being cheated. So to ensure that the people doesn't get cheated with this act has come into force. Next. So what are the act applies to the indication of use by the goods, whether natural or manufacturing goods emanating from a particular area or a territory known for particular quality or a characteristic of the good. Such geographical names, if used by a person in relation to goods originating from different place, then it amounts to infringement of geographical name. This is the only action can be taken if it has emanated from a different place, if it is called with the same name. Next. So the trademark is a sign. Actually, the trademark and geographical indication. Trademark is only a sign or a name which is given to a particular product and all. Whereas in case of a geographical indication, it tells the consumer the product is produced in a certain place and certain characteristics that are due to the place of production. Or it may be all producers to make their products in the places designated by geographic indications and whose products share the typical qualities. In fact, there was an incident about the Scotch whisky. You know, Scotch whisky comes from Scotland. So only whatever the whisky which is brewed in Scotland can be called as Scotch whisky. Supposing if a whisky is brewed in Bangalore or any other place, it cannot be called Scotch whisky. So invariably the Scotch Whisky Association, they keep filing the cases if any other trademark is called as Scotch. So Scotch can come only from the island, Scotland, where the breweries are there. There are about 30 to 40 breweries are there which manufacture the Scotch. So because the local conditions and historical significance of the Scotch, only that can be called as Scotch, and it cannot be called by other breweries. They cannot call the whiskey they manufacture the Scotch. Next. So what are the advantages? Of course, it boosts exports and all, promote the thing, etc. and all. Next. So unlike trademark, registration can be applied only by an organization. For example, you have an organization which Sweet Manufacturer Association in Dharwad. They can apply for registration of that, and all of them who are similarly using that method of manufacturing, they can get that geographic indication registered. So it is only given to the organization. Number one is that, it has to be renewed every 10 years, and then it should be represent the interests of this thing. And individuals and partnerships, they cannot do. For example, you have a private individual who is also doing that. You cannot get registration of that. So only the company, the individuals cannot get registration. Only the trust, partnership or a company which is engaged in this particular activity can get it registered. And the persons who are, supposing there are about 500 people, for example, you take the case of Chenpatna Ties. Chenpatna Ties, there are about the Karnataka Handicraft Development Corporation is the owner of the Chenpatna Ties. But there are about more than 500 other manufacturers also. But they can get a registered user agreement and then get manufactured that one. So this is the geographic indication. Next. You can show some samples. Next. See, these are some thing I told you, Banaras silk sarees, Kanjivaram and Mysore silk saree. Next. So these are all the thing. Karnataka is about 30 products which is leading in all over India. With this, there are many other products to be identified. Many of our other products which is left to see. So somebody has to take interest and then get it registered. Next. Next. Yeah. Now I will go through the design. Only 2 minutes. I will just tell you. Design. There is also an act called the Designs Act. For example, you produce a product. That is got a unique design. So that can be registered the Designs Act. So Designs Act 2000 provides for a registration of a design which is unique, not there in the public domain. It should not be identical or different. If it is a design is unique, it can be registered as a trademark, copyright, in the sense, it can be registered in Designs Act as well as in the Patent Act. So the design only protect your outer shape of the design, this thing. So that Design Act is the design, once you get a design registered, it is valid for a period of 10 years, then it can be renewed for another 5 years. So this is the one of the other act where your product can be protected. Next. These are some of the designs. Okay, next one. So in Designs Act only the shape is protected, not the function of the product. Next. Yeah, next. 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 So, if it is not a new and original, it cannot be registered. And then previously it is not in the public domain, then it cannot be registered. Then there are some which are protected in the class 2 of the Copyright Act, it cannot be registered. Only the accused person can appeal to the registrar for a cancellation of a design. Next. So design can be assigned. For example, you got a particular design, you stop manufacturing and you wanted to give it to somebody else. It can be assigned and then that person can take it. It's only valid for whatever the period. Initially for 10 years, it can be extended for the 5 years. So within that period, he can use that, he becomes a registered proprietor. Of course, you want to give that design manufacturing to somebody else, you can also give a license and collect the royalty also. Next. If somebody is copying your design, then the person who has got a real design owner can also file a rectification application before the Register of Trademarks and also before the High Court. Next. You can go to the next slide. You can go to the next slide. The last one is a patent act. Patent is only refers to the invention of a product. It doesn't about not about the invention. Let's call the functioning of a product. So what is important for a patent is that it should be unique. You should not be there in the public domain. You cannot have already a functioning. For example, this mobile phone. When it was invented, it was a when invented, it was a patent. Why this had a patent? Why? Because of 20 years, as a patent has got a life of 20 years. After 20 years, nobody can, it becomes a public domain. In fact, there are several cancer drugs and all that, which Switzerland companies owning a patent and this thing. So after 20 years, it becomes a, on the public domain, anyway we can use it. Recently incident, there was a cancer drug, which was patented by a Swiss company, Novartis. They did not, in India, what has happened is India has got a patent law, that is section 3D of a patent act, where they can grant a compulsory license. That means to say, even in respect of a patent, if somebody wants to manufacture a general drug, the permission can be given by the government of India because in the public interest. Because the poor people cannot afford to buy the expensive cancer drug, which is required for the sustenance of the humanity, and therefore the Supreme Court also upheld that law. So that is one compulsory licensing in the patent is there. So patent can be given for the process patent as well as the design patent. So it is valid only for the 20 years. Whereas in case of a software, in USA it can be classified as a patent. Whereas in India it is only a software can be classified only as a source code, which can be protected only as a copyright, nothing else. So that's all, sir. Thank you very much.
Products are made in factory, but brands are created in minds. And beautiful minds like you helps us create and sustain the brands more perfectly. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for sharing the knowledge with us. And we are very sorry for the inconvenience caused. I would now request CA Channamallikarjuna from Raichur to honor sir by presenting a token of appreciation. Just a second, sir. I guess we have a question.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, recently I was handling a case which was similar what you said, like Adidas. There's one digital marketing company which is already registered under LLP Act and is being operating from 2018. Okay. Under the same brand name, there was one more company floated in 2020 and they have put TM mark on their logo. But when I searched in, client got to know that when we are searching in the Google, the first company is coming, the fictitious or the recent company is coming on the top, sir. And they have also used the TM, this one, logo on that. When we searched in IP website, there was no registered this one. We got, I mean, the name of that brand was not registered in the IP website.
Okay.
So what is the remedy available, sir?
I understood your problem. Now 2018 companies also registered the Trademark Act. They have not applied for registration, correct?
No, they have not registered.
So they have started the company in 2018 for a digital marketing. Same name has been adopted by another person in 2020 and he has been using it.
Yes.
So what law says is, even in case of an unregistered trademark, prior user is the most important thing. So the 2018 company can file a civil suit and restrain other company from using the same trademark and logo. In fact, if they are using the same logo, it also constitutes a copyright. So infringement of copyright. So you can file a composite suit for passing of a
Different place, sir. But same business.
Huh?
Same business but different place.
Different place means different district.
Yes, sir.
If it is a different district, if you have to go to other district where the defendant is staying, you have to file a suit in that district court and get an injunction restraining from using the name. And you can also apply for registration of trademark. So registration of trademark goes by the user, not by the thing. In fact, there is a similar incident of Whirlpool. Whirlpool was not there in India prior to 1990. It only started after the Narasimha Rao opened up the economy, then Whirlpool came to India and all that. There was a person in Delhi who was using the Whirlpool for the washing machines and all that. So he obtained registration also. When the Whirlpool wanted to enter the Indian market, he obtained an injunction restraining Whirlpool from using the trademark. Then ultimately the matter went to Supreme Court. Supreme Court said, even if you have got a registration trademark of a Whirlpool, if you obtained fraudulently, the prior user will prevail. So whosoever used the prior, at that relevant point of time, the Whirlpool is used in more than 140 countries, and therefore ultimately he was stopped using that one. So therefore, in your case also, it is a prior user which is most important. Definitely they can take action.
Thank you. But the only thing is, problem is the proprietor or the partner is MSME, and he doesn't want to incur so much of funds on filing civil suit and everything.
If he doesn't incur, then that fellow will swallow this company.
That has happened. Thank you, sir.
It will not cost much now. District court
It
case.
depends on hardly in case if you are not asking for damages and all that, the court fee is 25 rupees. That's all. Only you have to negotiate with advocates, with a skillful advocate, and then engage it. Yeah.
Good afternoon. In Andhra Pradesh
Yeah.
or Telangana, there is Hyderabad in Bihar, and there is also Hyderabad in Jammu and
It's a
Kashmir.
very good question, I'll tell you. See, actually, Hyderabadi biryani is a GI product, which can be only manufactured in a particular place where the GI registration is granted. In the registration, if you go, they will give the areas which is covered and all that. Because it has got a unique taste, method of preparation, and then ingredients used and all that. If that name is misused somewhere else, action can be taken by the organization which has got a registration of Hyderabad biryani. And a lot of duplications are there. So, but Karnataka Silk Industries Corporation has to institute a suit. Not only use of the name and also use of the misuse of the geographic indication. So, Geographic Indication Act provides for an infringement of name if the product is emanated from a different place and called with a registered GI name.
Even if the name is same,
Yeah.
on the grounds that the area is different and
Yeah,
distinct,
different place
the,
action can be taken.
action can be taken. Thank
Not
you.
only it amounts to a geographic indication, but also maybe a trademark also. So, passing of action, the Trademark Act, if Hyderabad biryani itself is registered by the organization as a trademark, they can also institute the suit under the Trademark Act as well as the GI Act.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That would be the last question of the session. I would like to honor sir by presenting a token of appreciation for such a wonderful session.
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಿಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ತೆಗಿಬೇಕು